Okay, so now we're graphing lines. You guys remember lines? All right, so we have our coordinate plane. Coordinate plane, you have x-axis, your horizontal axis, y-axis, your vertical axis. They're going to intersect at just a number line. So the x-axis is just a number line, y-axis is just a number line turned on its side. They're going to intersect right here in the middle at 0, 0. Okay, I write that like that because that is called a coordinate pair. And a coordinate pair is written as parentheses, first your x coordinate, comma, your y coordinate, parentheses. It's always parentheses. Coordinate pairs and interval notation look the same, but they have nothing to do with each other. Okay, so the coordinate pair is referring to somewhere on the graph. Now back to the 0, 0, that is called the origin. Okay, now this is a number line. The right side of the x is going to be positive. The left side is going to be negative. And if this is a number line turned 90 degrees to the left, the above the x-axis is positive, y values, below it, negative. So in quadrant 1, you start in the upper right-hand corner. That would be quadrant 1, and you go counterclockwise for your quadrants. So quadrant 1 is going to give you a positive x and a positive y. This is where all of our word problems are going to be because it's real world stuff. Quadrant 2 would give you a negative x, positive y. Quadrant 3 is going to be a negative x and a negative y. And then quadrant 4 would give you a positive x and a negative y. So some of the homework problems will look like this, where you're plotting the ordered pair, and then it's going to ask you what quadrant is it. So what you do in my math lab here, you have the ordered pair -3.5 and 1. Now, when you're going to click the dot and then drag it, there's going to be points up here in the corner, and it'll tell you where you're at. So half is sometimes hard to do. You look at where it is. We're going to look at some at the end, and I'll show you that. But you're just ticking it, so you want the tick marks to say what this is. So that's -3.5 is what your x tick wants to say, and your y tick you want to say negative. So if we do that, looking at this problem, I've got -3 is here on, we're looking at the x-axis. So -3.5 is about right here, and then I have -1, so I'm going to go down 1 about right here. So this should be about right here for my point. And what quadrant is that? Quadrant 3. So it's usually just a two-part question. You do the graph part, and then you go to the second part, and it'll ask you the quadrant. Okay, linear is the equation a line. So it's going to be how the equation is presented. Linear equations have two variables, can be written like this: ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers. A and b are not both 0. One of them can be 0, but not both of them, because if they were both 0, then it would just be a point. Linear only if you have an x to the first in the numerator. So all of these are not linear. So square root of x isn't linear. Absolute value is not linear. 1 over x is not linear. So you can't have an x in the denominator. Exponents, x squared, x cubed, etc. Those are not linear. and negative exponents also. So x to the negative 1 and negative 2 are not linear. Fractional exponents, x to the 1/2, also not linear. So just an x by itself. So is the equation 3x plus y equals 2 linear? Yes, it is linear. Okay, it's just an x to the first by itself. No fractions, no weird exponents. No absolute value. B, absolute value of x minus 2, is that linear? No. So this equation is going to look, let me see, it'll look something like this, which we'll get to graphing in a little bit. This one is going to look like this. So absolute value looks like a B. And that's why it's not linear, because it's not one line, it's two lines. Okay, what about C, 1/2 x minus 5? Yes. Okay, even though it's got the fraction is just 0.5. Okay, that's just telling you the slope. So this is straight line, just like that. Okay, we're looking at the x. All right, so graphing. So a lot of you are probably used to graphing using slope-intercept form. So there's a lot of different ways that you can graph. And in my lab math, it's going to ask you all of these different ways. So the first way is when you're first taught, like back in, I think, 4th or 5th grade, creating a table of values. So the reason why we're going to work on that is because you're going to have to fill in the table. Okay, and then we'll do slope-intercept. Okay, so here's what you're going to do for this problem. So we're going to solve for y, which means we're going to rearrange the equation for y. So here I have 5x minus y equals 4. And actually, is this linear or not linear? It is linear. All right, so let's get y by itself. So we're going to take 5x. We're going to move it over to the right, so we're going to subtract it. Now I can't do 4 minus 5x. They're not like terms. So I'm going to have negative y. I'm just going to write these next to each other. So the x I'm going to put first. So it's a negative 5x, and then the 4 will come after that. And since there's nothing in front of it, it's a positive 4. Then I need to get rid of that negative in front of the y. It's a negative 1. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. So that's going to give me y equals negative 5 divided by negative 1 will give me a positive 5x. Positive 4 divided by negative 1 will give me a negative 4. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to pick two x values. Then I want to plug them in and solve. So in your homework, they're going to give you x values to use. Okay, here you can pick if you want. So let's say if they give you negative 2, we'll do 3 of them, 0 and 2. You have your table of values. You're plugging those into this equation right here, and then you're plotting the ordered pairs. Okay, so here I plug a negative 2 in. That's going to be, and we can do the work up here. So let's see, 5 times negative 2 minus 4. So that's negative 10 minus 4, negative 14. And then we'll plug the 0 in. 5 times 0 minus 4 gives us 0 minus 4, negative 4. Then we'll plug the positive 2 in. So 5 times 2 is 10, minus 4 will give us 6. Okay, so we have the chart. We want to go ahead and plot these points. So I have the point negative 2, negative 14, and I don't think this goes down to negative 14. No. Okay, so we're going to skip that. We're going to go 0, -4. So 0 on the x means I don't actually go anywhere. I just go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and I make my point. And then 2, 6. So +2, I go to the right 2, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you have 2 points in my math lab, it will snap to a line for you. Okay, this is actually really hard to draw a line on. Actually, that's a good one. Sometimes they're really bad. But let me see. I think I exit out of it? There we are. Okay, so let me see if I can pull up a practice problem for this. That's similar. Not graphing just yet. Okay, so here's a very similar example here. So is this linear or not? You have y minus 2x equals 2. Linear. You go to linear, and then you go to check answer. And then it's going to ask you to graph using plots. So we want 2 points. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your points. You're going to go through that, and then you're going to click here. So I think technically, because it's not giving you the points to plug in, you could do slope intercept for this if you really wanted. In which case, that is going to be +2. So you start with your first point. So the first point is 0, 2. Plug 0 in and get 0, 2. Now what happens is this starts forming a line. So when you move this, it starts getting a line. But if you see up in this yellow right here, it's giving you what the actual ordered pair is. So the next point would be 1, 4 would be the next point. So as I go here, I'm going to go, and I see up in the right, the yellow line says 1, 4. Click the other point, then your line is snapped in place. Then you click save, and then you check your answer. There's going to be some where you have to fill in the chart and some that you don't. And then as you see here, some of them are not linear. So like this one here. Okay, so you have x squared minus 7. So if you go down here, this is a similar problem. So change this problem to x squared minus 7. We'll do this problem and then we'll graph it in the homework. Okay, so is this linear or not? It is not linear. Okay, so we say, nope, not linear. Okay, then x is, well, y is solved for. We want to make a table of values to graph this. I'm going to go x and y. I still really only need 2 points, but I kind of need to know how this is formed to graph it. Okay, so let's start with the point, or we'll do -2, 0, and 2 again. These are usually safe ones to use. So it was x squared minus 7, right? Okay, so we've got, let's see, -2 squared minus 7. So -2 squared is going to be +4 minus 7. 4 minus 7, -3. So I have this point here, -2, -3. So -2, so to the right, 2, and then down 1, 2, 3. So about right here. And then I have 0. So 0 squared minus 7. So 0 minus 7, that's -7. So I have the point 0, -7. So I don't go anywhere in the x, I just go down 7. So 1, 2, 6, 7. So about right here for that y-intercept. And then 2 squared -7, that's still +4 minus 7. So again, -3. But it's on the right side this time. So over to the right 2, down 3. Okay, so these are forming a graph that looks like this. You guys know what this is called? Oh, I missed it. Thought I heard it. Parabola? Yeah, it's called a parabola. Okay, when you have the x squared, the squared will form this type of graph here, a parabola. Okay, so you remember those points. Now we come here to our graph, or to our homework. Okay, not linear. And then continue. Oh, we're just picking the right graph. We don't have to actually graph that one. So we pick which one it looks like. Which one is this? D. Oh, let's see if there's any that you have to actually graph. Let's see. This is not linear. Oh, again, you're just picking them out. All right, so you can do those with the points if you're just picking them out. Or let me show you a shortcut. I just want to care. Yeah, it looks like. We're not doing a whole lot of graphing. All right, so there's this really cool website that I really like for graphing. So if you don't have a graphing calculator, if you do have a graphing calculator, we're going to get to how to use that a little bit later. But this is an online graphing calculator that's free, and it also has an app. You can't use it on the test, okay? But you can use it checking your homework, stuff like that. So it's desmos.com, and I will show you it. Or you can just type Desmos into Google. Should be the first one. Okay, you click on graphing calculator. And I just like this one especially for in class because it's easier to see. So if you go here to type in your graph, you're going to do it as y equals. So it was x squared. So just start typing x. And then I think there's a keyboard. There it is. Yeah. So click this little keyboard to get your squared and stuff like that. So there's squared. And then -7. And there's my graph. And then you can zoom out or zoom in and do all sorts of fun stuff with it. And you can put more than one on there too if you want. You can just click down, put another graph in. Okay, so that's a good tool, and it has an app too, and you can do the same stuff on your phone. Okay. Oh, that's everything for homework 1. So yeah, you're just picking out the correct graph with a lot of those things. For absolute value, I think, oh, I exited out of Desmos, but there should be an absolute value symbol on there as well. Graphing these types of graphs. And after you finish, not module 2 homework 1, but module 1 homework 2, so we did before that, you have quiz 1 as well. So